back to Dishing with Patricia. Dishing with Patricia is a plant-based podcast that we talk about current events, we talk about food, and how food is our medicine. And today I have a special guest, but before I get into my guest, I want to tell you that my guest is going to participate with me today. I have 3 recipes that we're going to share, and they're going to be helping me. My guest is Dr. Rich Snyder. Dr. Snyder is the Chief Medical Operator for Independence Blue Cross. So I want you guys to welcome Rich. Hi, Rich. How you doing?
Good morning. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. So welcome.
It's good to be here.
It's good to see you. I wanted to let you know that my crew, our team, all of us have been vaccinated. That is a policy that we have. We recently had to let go one of our team members because they were refusing to get vaccinated. And at this point in time, I don't think that that's fair to the rest of our people. Right. So can you tell me, how do you feel about the unvaccinated?
Well, you know, people have reasons for not wanting to be vaccinated, and I understand that, especially early on when the vaccine was first implemented. We had some concerns about safety and potential side effects and so forth. But at this point in time, I think the track record is pretty clear. The vaccines are safe. The ones that are emergency use authorized in the United States are safe for use. There remain a couple of subpopulations that we have to worry a little bit about, like pregnant women.
Yes.
But at the same time, women who are pregnant are at risk of more serious infection if they become infected with COVID. So from my vantage point, I think everybody should be immunized when they're eligible to be immunized. There are very few medical reasons, if any, for not
Can you
being
give me an
immunized.
example of those that, an example of why they can't get the vaccine?
Ordinarily with vaccines, things like the preservatives in vaccines, such as thimerosal, or in some cases older vaccines that were grown in eggs.
Yes.
Egg allergies are a problem, but the new mRNA vaccines like Moderna and Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer are not really grown in eggs, so therefore do not have that kind of an allergy problem. As a result, there really aren't good medical reasons for not being vaccinated, other than, as I indicated, the sort of evolving evidence around pregnancy and the risk of vaccination during pregnancy. We still think it's safer to be vaccinated than not.
Correct.
So what do I think about the unvaccinated? I think there's been a lot of misinformation put out and concerns raised by people who are anti-vaxxers.
Yes.
And I understand, in some cases for religious reasons. I grew up in Lancaster County and practiced medicine in Lancaster County, and the Amish, from a religious standpoint,
Yes.
are not in favor of vaccination. And so I would have families come in and say, please vaccinate my children, but don't tell anybody. Don't put it on the record. I don't want to get in trouble with the church for it. And others who were steadfast and did not want to be vaccinated. So I do understand that religious beliefs can enter into whether or not you become vaccinated.
But on this particular instance, are they being vaccinated? The Amish community? Are they opposed to
That's a great question. I know that some are, but I don't know how the church feels about it in general.
Okay.
Having left there many years ago and not really having as close contacts in the medical community. I believe that everyone should be vaccinated. I'm very happy to have read in the newspaper that the Latino community has embraced it recently. And if you looked at the graph in the Inquirer, the uptake in the Latinx community has been great. Actually, it's. And Philadelphia's done remarkably well compared to 2018, or 1918, when we had the Spanish flu, and we had a parade instead of getting vaccinated. We didn't have vaccines for that. So we've done a much better job. And if you look at the national map, we're doing so much better. But the Delta variant is so infectious, and it's a rapidly evolving scenario. even vaccinated people are getting infected. They don't necessarily have symptoms, but they can grow the virus in their respiratory tree, and then subsequently they could exhale or cough and spread it to others who are not immunized. And it's tragic when you lose somebody, especially the unvaccinated, who really could have prevented the illness and or the death. And I think it comes at a large cost to many families, to many communities, and to the city at large.
Yes, exactly. Tell me, you're the chief operating officer at IBC. Is there a vaccine program that you guys are currently encouraging your members and other people within the city itself? Do you have a current program going on?
We personally do, as Independence Blue Cross,
Yes.
we do not have a program that we are funding
Yes.
explicitly. We are assisting our members to get vaccination. We've had Independence Live right next to our office at 1901 Market Street. Vibe urgent care centers have been administering vaccine there. And we were doing up to 600 people a day at one point.
That's good.
Which is excellent, that's right. But we are encouraging and have collaborated with a number of pharmacies in the area to get our members in for vaccination. In addition, Mainline Health at Lankenau Hospital has allowed us to schedule people from West Philadelphia into the Lankenau scheduling system so that they could be immunized. So our efforts have been to, obviously in the media, we've been prominently featured telling people to become vaccinated and wear masks and socially distance.
Yes.
Socially distance and so forth. But beyond that, we have been actively looking at our data, finding those people who we have no evidence of vaccination and reaching out to them, starting with the most vulnerable seniors and now moving into higher risk commercial populations as well.
Well, that's a good thing. The government now wants us to return back to normal.
Sort of.
Yes, sort of normal. But my thing is, what is going to be our normal?
I've equated this pandemic to maybe like an earthquake, right?
Yes.
So it hit us like an earthquake. And we have these tremors that keep happening, right? As little peaks and troughs occur. And I think that's going to go on for some time. I would not be surprised if we have another couple of Delta-like peaks over the next 6 to 12 months, particularly this fall when it cools down a little bit and we're accustomed to having the flu come through southeastern Pennsylvania. Expect to see COVID have a resurgence. I don't know how big it'll be. I don't know how severe it'll be. But I do expect that there will be a resurgence of it in the fall. Just seasonally, that's what happens.
Okay.
If you look at the southern hemisphere where it's winter now,
yes,
they are seeing a peak. Look at South America, for example. There are a lot of countries there that are having a resurgence of COVID. I do think we're past the worst of it.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, here in Philadelphia, we're over 60% of the people are vaccinated.
Correct. That
are eligible, and that's awesome. Ideally, it would be even higher, and I know we'll get there over time as more and more people understand that the vaccine is safe. And
so, do you think that companies should mandate that their employees get vaccinated?
It's a great question.
Vaccinated, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I meet with the chief medical officers for the health systems and the Philadelphia Department of Public Health frequently. We were meeting weekly, not quite weekly any longer, since things have quieted down a bit. And everyone wants to mandate for all of their employees
yes,
that they be vaccinated. The concerns right now are that if a health system were to mandate it, they could lose somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25% of their employees if they chose to move to a health system that is not mandating vaccine. That's unfortunate, right? Penn stepped out. Penn decided they would mandate it, and they gave some time, I believe until after Labor Day, After that, the intent is that they will release or terminate employees who are not vaccinated. We'll see how that plays out.
Yes.
Independence Blue Cross intends to open for sort of a staged return to the workplace after Labor Day, provided Delta does not become too much of a problem. And we're inviting employees who are vaccinated back into the building, starting with officers, managers, directors, to kind of get the building open and ready to go.
Right.
And then employees, hopefully Delta permitting, we will have people back in the building on a hybrid basis starting in October and November.
Right. Well, in our office, our employees, we work remote. And my husband is not interested in coming back into the office. So we come by the office to check our mail, and he said they're working remote, they're doing good, and he said it's not returning back to work, it's returning back to the office.
That's right.
Because we understand that productivity is up, people are saving money, they're now having dinners with their families, and there's a certain amount of depression happening with this pandemic going on. Can you give us some suggestions how to recognize those symptoms, if there's something that we should do to help our families, move past this so we don't bring on other issues other than the pandemic? Can you give us some suggestions or tell us
Absolutely.
what we should be doing?
It's a huge topic, and surveys that have been done during the course of the pandemic, starting back in March and kind of monthly or bi-monthly since then, would suggest that just under half of the entire citizenship of the region and the country are experiencing either depression or anxiety, significant anxiety disorder.
Wow.
Not just a little bit nervous, but really seriously anxious. And there are many reasons for that, obviously. Just fear about COVID, financial insecurity, work-related issues, family at home, trying to educate children and do your work from home. It gets really complicated. So I think, the things that you should look for are, stressors, things that you feel anxious, you feel tense, your heart rate's fast, you're breathing faster than normal, you're not sleeping well, you're waking up in the middle of the night, you're overeating, you're not exercising. All those things are indicators that you're not yourself. And historically, we've treated mental health disorders with some stigma, right? We're nervous. I don't want you to know that I'm depressed or anxious. Guess what? We've all been nervous and anxious through the course of the pandemic.
Yes.
I mean, the circumstances of the past year and a half are just unbelievable. With the pandemic, with George Floyd, with Breonna Taylor, with Walter Wright, and all the unrest that followed. I mean, who wouldn't be anxious or depressed, right?
Correct.
And we want to change that. So what do you do about it? There are a number of things you can do. If you Google online, if you have access, hashtag PHL, mindful.
Yes.
It's MINDPHL. You will come to a website that lists or acknowledges all of the available resources in this region for screening, which you can do online and determine whether you are anxious or depressed, and then all the different kinds of services that you could partake of. Self-help tools online, computerized cognitive behavioral therapy, individual sessions, group sessions. There are a variety of different resources there that can help you to address the mental health issues related to the pandemic and the social unrest that happened over the past 18 months. You absolutely should. There should be no stigma. I practiced in a situation where we had a psychiatrist, psychologist, and therapist working alongside the physical health physicians. Right. And people were very happy coming through the same front door, right?
Yes.
There was no stigma involved. That was in the past. Today, I feel like with Naomi Osaka, and now, in the last couple of days,
Simone.
with Simone Biles stepping aside. We should all be comfortable coming forward, stepping forward and getting help for our anxiety and depression. It does work. I can show you that at the University of Pennsylvania Health System, where we implemented integrated mental health and physical health, at the end of first of all, we identified many people who were depressed and anxious that nobody knew were anxious and depressed, including the patients. After 6 months, over 50% were scoring back at the normal range for either anxiety or depression, and their medical problems were better. Their diabetes was better controlled, their high blood pressure was better controlled. You know, physical and behavioral health are so integrated, you can't treat them separately. You really can't.
So give us again some of the points that we should recognize if we have a family member that we think are showing some signs of depression, just so we can, our audience can be aware of those things again. And when you finish with that, give me that website again, because this is important, because all of us right now, I've been getting very emotional about things that are going on, the homelessness that you're seeing, that people are having challenges just eating.
Right.
And the unrest with our government is unsettling. So do you mind giving those to us again?
Sure. I mean, the basic symptoms for anxiety and depression are not hugely dissimilar. It can vary. One person might express it a different way than another. But you know, if you're looking at it from how do I recognize a family member who might be anxious or depressed?
Yes.
I mean, emotions, right? Crying, getting angry. Those are signs that you're feeling insecure. Why do you get angry? You feel insecure about something. That's why you get angry. Okay. You feel threatened. So crying or being more emotional, not the usual self, right?
So I think I might be depressed.
Sleeping too much or not enough, right? Change in sleep patterns, inactivity, being just sedate, sitting around, not being your usual self. Changes in behavior, I think, are the most obvious things. Overeating. You know, my wife accuses me all the time of, you know, like I finish a meal and then I have to have something to chew on, something to crunch, you know?
Right.
And she says, you're just too anxious, you're stressed out, relax, you know? So you're looking for signs like that. Inside, in yourself, you should be able to tell if you're feeling stressed. You can't sit still, but yet on the other hand, you're not exercising, you're overeating, you're eating more often than you normally do. That's hard because when you're at home, working from home, the refrigerator's very close at hand, right? And then obviously sleep disorders, feeling sad, you know, losing interest in hobbies, things that you normally do, are all indicators that maybe you're either stressed too much, too anxious or depressed. And the website that I referenced is hashtag MINDPHL, mindful.
Okay.
And if you type that into the Google search, it'll pull up the website, and from there you can go in 100 different ways, looking at all the resources in the Philadelphia market to help you.
Okay, so let's think about if the pandemic is not here. Tell me, what do you do at IBC?
I'm responsible for overseeing all things medical. So,
okay.
Helping to design benefits for our members that address their needs. And an example of that, you know, at the moment we're dealing with telemedicine, right?
Yes.
In 2019, we had 18,000 telemedicine visits. That's not a lot for millions of people. In 2020, we had 2.4 million telemedicine visits.
Wow.
Why did that happen? Because physician offices shut down. They didn't want to jeopardize their staff. They didn't want to, you know, have one patient infect another one in the waiting room. And for all those reasons, there was a big move to telemedicine. Sometimes telephonic, sometimes with video, using every mode that you can imagine. That's a benefit that we had, but very few people used it. Independence Blue Cross has a contract with MD Live, and our members, for urgent care, like if in the middle of the night you have an earache or a sore throat or whatever, you can call a number and get some advice and or a prescription if it's deemed appropriate. But very few people used it. 18,000 visits in 2019. In 2020, virtually all physicians started to use telemedicine for all of their patients. Our largest cardiology group virtually went 100% telemedicine unless you ended up in the emergency room or the hospital where they would take care of you. So that required a change in our benefit design to allow all physicians to administer their visits via telemedicine. The government authorized it, made it possible in the first part of the pandemic, and that's still in existence today, but the government's mandate will expire sometime probably before the end of the year. What my job then is to make sure that we don't let that expire for Independence Blue Cross members.
That's
Going
good.
forward, primary care physicians, specialists, et cetera, will all be able to administer telemedicine visits indefinitely. That's a
I
new
think
part
that's
of the
a
benefit.
wonderful idea because it makes it very convenient.
Right.
We have an elderly aunt, and she's had her, let's say, 5 or 6 of those, and it makes it convenient for her. She's not going out. We're not exposing her to possibly, well, she's been vaccinated now, but those were the issues that
Right.
exposure. And the convenience of that, she gets to visit with her doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor sends us a prescription, and we're able to call the prescription in, and she goes and picks it up. Or if she needs blood work, I really like that. That's
Yeah.
convenient for our elderly people. Is there anything else that you want to touch on that we didn't talk about COVID, we've talked about depression and how we should handle this. I still wear, you and I are sitting here now talking, but I wear my mask.
Right, right. Yeah, I do think there's a couple of things I'd like to mention. One,
Please.
Substance use has increased dramatically during the pandemic. And while 2019 saw a decline in the number of opioid-related deaths in Philadelphia, 2020 went back in the wrong direction. So, I think it's important to recognize that we need to manage substance use, whether it's alcohol or cigarettes, which are also obviously addictive and dangerous to your health, or any kind of illicit drug use. And one of the things that you asked me what I do, I sat on the mayor's task force regarding the opioid crisis. And coming out of that, we put significant restrictions on the prescribing of opioids.
Yes.
And have worked with physicians who manage pain to add benefits like acupuncture, massage therapy, and then integrated physical and behavioral health pain management programs. And I just looked at our numbers this week and realized that we have reduced the number of our members who are actually taking opioids by 75%, which is
wonderful.
insane.
That's wonderful.
That's awesome. So that's and that's even with the pandemic. So, I would just urge your viewers that, control substance use. It's a dangerous slope to get onto. The other thing I'd like to mention is, we forget about preventive health at a time of crisis, right?
Yes.
You put that in the back burner. And that's a problem too, because we expect that we'll see more strokes, more heart attacks, things that could have been prevented if people continued to get their preventive medicine. And we've had some anecdotal examples where patients present with later stage cancers because they didn't have their mammogram, they didn't have their colonoscopy. We'll have to see how that plays out over time, but I would encourage all your viewers to continue to get or resume getting your preventive care. It's safe. Hospitals have segregated the patients with COVID infection from the patients without COVID infection.
So get your
And
checkup.
Get your checkup.
Get
Absolutely.
your checkup. Get your checkup. Well, you know, part of Dishing with Patricia is, which by the way, you have was on one of my demonstrations, and you
Absolutely.
kind of outcooked everybody else, and it was really fun. We were plating, getting things prepared, and next thing we know, Rich had his thing. The presentation was wonderful, and you've told me your family has since liked that recipe.
Family and extended family.
Wonderful,
Oh,
wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful.
We had extended family on a 1-week vacation, and the people that were coming from Northern Virginia said, "Please make that vegetarian roasted vegetable dish." They love it. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Rich, we're going to come to a close on this part of Dishing with Patricia, and I'm going to come back and we're going to do a cooking demo. I'm so excited about that. So give me a moment and we'll be back.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome back to Dishing with Patricia. I'm going to start my second part of my episode with my guest, Dr. Rich Snyder. Thank you, Rich. I'm
Absolutely.
so excited about you participating in this demo of my segment. But before I start, Rich and I are now just drinking a refreshing citrus water today.
Cheers.
Thank you. That's going to help rehydrate you during the summer months. This is lemon, cucumber, and mint. And you can find all the nutritional values as well as the recipes on my website, classyandessentialnutrition.com. Thank you. So Rich, I'm going to have you help me make this. This is a chickpea tuna salad. It's a plant-based salad. It really does taste like tuna fish. So I'm going to give you this, and I want you to use this spoon to just smash the chickpeas up some for me. So let's just dump the whole thing in there. Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
You trust my ability
Yes, I
with
trust
this?
your ability,
Okay.
I'm going to be your helper today. So we don't have to, for the sake of time, just make it perfect. But just, if I wanted you to know how to make this, because not everyone has food processors. So if you don't have a food processor, you can use a fork. Or I've even used a mashed potato masher. Those are tools that our grandmothers used to have. Everyone should have a mashed potato masher in their cabinet. So I'm going to move that. So let's incorporate, this is celery. So let's just dump that in there. And I want you to kind of keep moving things around. And as I said, the recipes can be found on my website. Yep. And this is red onion.
They are awesome. They're awesome recipes. I make one of her recipes at least once a week.
That's fabulous. So these are red onions. I'm going to put this in here. Don't worry. It's nothing like having a chunky tuna salad. When you're having salads, don't worry about it being perfect. It doesn't have to be. Just make sure that it's nutritious. That's what's important. It doesn't have to be fancy, but do make sure the presentation is pleasing to the eye. So we're going to have, this is Dijon mustard. So we're going to put this in here. Put that over to the side. And this is broccoli slaw that you can find, all the markets have it. It'll add some additional crunch into this salad. Put that in there. Am I moving too fast?
No, this is great.
Is it great? Okay.
This is fantastic. I can smell the tuna.
Oh, good. Yeah. And this here is agave. Agave is wonderful for people that are diabetic. Agave does not increase your glycemic numbers, so it's a good sweetener. But like all sweeteners, and if you have underlying health conditions, please be aware of how much you're using. So if you decided that you're going to have some agave in your morning tea, skip it for lunch. If you have tea for dinner, don't add any additional. There's a trade-off. You need to stay balanced. So I tell people that whatever disease you have, if it's in moderation, you can do that. It'll work. It'll work. It'll work. So this is fresh dill. I'm going to put that in there. I love a crunchy salad. So these are roasted sunflower seeds.
Oh,
I'm
excellent.
going to put that in there too. If you want, I can, and this is nori. This is seaweed. It's going to give us that flavor of, if it was chicken of the sea. No, it's not chicken of the sea. Who is it? Tuna of the sea? Charlie? Okay, it's tuna of the sea. It's going to remind us, give us a little seafood taste because it's seaweed. Excuse me. Let me
This is
grab
looking good.
It is really good. And this is fresh lemon juice. I'll just put it, when you are using lemon juice or any type of sweetener, just add it in gradually because sometimes it may make it too tart or it may turn the consistency of what you're trying to make. And lastly, this is, everyone knows that I love vegan mayo. This is vegan mayo. It's going to be good. Okay. There you go. I'm going to move this stuff all over to the side. Excuse my back. What you think?
It's looking good.
So here,
Can't
let's
wait to test it.
let's do this one because this will curve for you. See
Yeah,
how
that's
that'll
true.
curve you? We don't have to mash anymore. So just use that, right? And while you're stirring that around, I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to give you some fresh pepper.
Right, if you don't have a food processor, I'm for hire.
Okay. Here you go. Now, do you mind if I just turn this around just
Absolutely.
a little bit? Just so we can get this in. Look at those colors. And nothing like chickpea because it's protein. It's been proven that the more plant-based protein that you eat, it's healthier than a meat protein. Your body accepts it better. It doesn't take as long for you to digest. What do you think about that? Do you like a plant?
I agree. And, for me personally,
Yes.
Eliminating a lot of the red meat,
Yes.
Virtually all of the red meat, and relying on plant-based diet and fish.
Yes.
GERD or reflux,
Right.
acid reflux, gone away.
Wonderful,
So,
wonderful,
you
wonderful.
know,
So
I think there are good health reasons why you'd want to do this.
I agree. So this is our salad made, but I made one already to save time. Don't just have a tuna salad. Incorporate other greens into your salad. Incorporate seeds. We got seeds. I would put some nuts on those. People that have a nut allergy, of course, I expect you to not add those additionals. But as I say to you all the time, I follow my recipe to just about 90% of the time, and then I change it. Make your recipe your own. And I'm making our recipe our own because we added some additional things in this. But the things I added will be on my Classy Nutrition site. So let me just scoop some out for you. I would add some sliced tomatoes to this and put it on the side, some avocado, just to make this more of a meal. So here's your fork. And I have some plant-based crackers as well that are gluten-free.
Awesome.
So you want to give that a taste and tell me what you think?
I absolutely can't wait.
Okay. Now I hear you crunching.
It's crunchy, and it actually does have the flavor that is consistent with a tuna salad.
Right. Would you make this
So
for
this
your
is-
family?
I would. I will. How's
Okay.
that?
You got the
Better than
recipe.
I would? I
And
will.
some crackers, yes. But then, as I said, if I have some tomatoes, some avocados. So this is just one of our dishes. Give us a few more minutes, and we'll be back. Welcome back to Dishing with Patricia. You guys are going to really love this next recipe. This is a bean salad recipe. And people, you say bean salad, they're like, ugh. No, this is really good. So Rich is going to help me with this one as well. So Rich, I'm going to hand you the beans, and let's just start adding those in.
Sure.
These are white beans. All the recipes can be found on classyandessentialnutrition.com. There you go. And not only the recipes, my site will also offer some of the nutritional content. And those are pinto beans, red beans, I'm sorry, red beans. Beans are an excellent source of protein. And plus they're fillers. Those are black-eyed peas. And these are black beans.
Never knew there were so many kinds of beans.
Yes, I mean, it's color. I like to have my food. I like my food to have a lot of color. So just while you're mixing those up, I'm going to move these bowls over to the side. This is a wonderful recipe to take to your family over the summer holidays. You know, 4th of July has come and gone, but we're still having guests. But I would be remiss if I did not mention, please be careful inviting friends over to your home. If you're outdoors, that's different, but encourage them to get vaccinated. If they've not, make sure that, I mean, you need to be a little careful with that. But even with that being said, it's time to enjoy some of our family, right?
Right.
It's time.
Absolutely.
It's time. So those are red onions. The smell, you guys, if you were here, smells so good, right?
Absolutely.
This is fresh dill. And this is basil.
Basil.
Yes. And this is cilantro.
So we had some interesting flavors in this.
Yes, this is going to be really, really good. And here are some dried tomatoes. Yeah, and I'll give you a minute, allow you to stir those up together. Let me get just something so you can wipe your hands. While he's mixing those up, during the summer months, it's important that you stay hydrated. It's important that you get out and get some sun, get your vitamin D, because as Rich and I spoke earlier, their signs have increased. Signs have shown us that there has been an increase in stress and mental health issues.
That's right.
So if you get outdoors, create some activities for you and your family. I know a lot of people have gotten dogs, so now they're out walking their animals, and that's another added advantage, that you're incorporating something else into your life, because
Right.
that causes you to get out and to walk your dog.
Physical activity doesn't necessarily mean exerting yourself to
That's
exhaustion.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yep.
This is fresh lemon juice. This is some agave. Oh, that's olive oil. I'm sorry.
To say that was a different
That's
color
no,
agave.
that's olive oil, and that's fresh garlic. And this really required that we had some soy, but we use amino acid.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
And this is your agave. You got that?
Got it.
I really appreciate Dr. Snyder coming on to our show and helping us, during our cooking segments, but more importantly, helping us, giving us all of the information that we needed, sharing with us about COVID, what's going on, how we need to treat it, think about what we're doing, keeping our family safe, keeping our friends safe, and how to just come out of this pandemic on a healthier note. So our last thing you're going to add there is some fresh cherry tomatoes.
Beautiful colors.
Yes, it is. Okay. You want me to help you turn that around? You got it. Let me just help him real quick. Look at the colors on that. It is absolutely gorgeous. So your family, they'll be like, bean salad, bean salad. By the time they leave, they won't be saying that. They'll be asking for this recipe too. By the end of the summer, you keep sharing all these recipes with your family. They're going to like, way. So let me give you some fresh salt. You want to continue to stir that for me a little bit? Incorporate that salt in. All right. So I'm going to get a plate. Oh, wait, there's a little bit of jalapeno that I want to put in there. So remember, when you're using jalapenos or any other peppers, don't watch the seeds. Watch the seeds.
It's where most of the capsaicin is.
That's right. This is just, I would do this a little finer, but this will be good. This will be good, as long as you don't pick it up. So would you like to try what you've just
I
made?
would love to try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how about we just put some on this plate, and you guys will get an opportunity to just to see all the colors. Let me get some red tomatoes. We want to be able to see this. Look at that.
It's really nice.
That is.
Very nice.
Okay, I'm going to hand that to you.
Bean salads are refreshing. Hot days, cool bean salad.
Yep.
Yeah.
And once you're done, if you're tired of eating it like this, put it inside of a pita bread.
Right.
Or just put it on top of your hot dog or anything else. Don't just keep it as that. What do you think about that?
It's interesting how you mix all of those different ingredients that, you don't think about.
Right.
And you come up with a really unique flavor. Beautiful.
Well,
it's really good.
I'm glad you got that. But we're going to come to a close. But before we come to a close, if you guys had noticed, these are some power balls. These are made with oatmeal, peanut butter, rehydrated blueberries, and they're really good. You should try them. You can find this recipe on classyandessentialnutrition.com as well. So it's time for, and I've got to tell you about this. These are seasonal fruit for this month. Look at the fig, the watermelon, the cantaloupe, the peaches. Look at those peaches. They're just speaking to me. And the different color blueberries and the cherry tomatoes and the peppers. Go to your farmer's market. This is the perfect time of the year to go to your farmer's market. You know the environmental footprint from where your food is coming because it's grown locally. You're supporting your local economy when you buy local. Also, buy seasonal. So before we go, Rich, I want to thank you for coming.
It's been a pleasure to be here. And I always learn something really good. I will take this home to my family.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay, thank you so much. So until we see each other once again, please mask up. Take care of you. Take care of your family. Until next time, bye.